This ranking was weird because, well, all these items are useful, except for one, and, well, yeah, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about item-wise, it's talking about all the mushrooms, all the mushroom drops, all the one-up mushrooms, all the peppers, and the refreshing herb. And other than that, there's no other stuff to talk about. Except for, well, the only criteria is how useful they are to me and how much I actually use them. And other than that, don't forget to subscribe to the Shroob Zone diet and let's get started. Number 13. Blue peppers are the worst item in the game, and probably one of the worst items in any Mario RPG. And there's many reasons for it, but one of the main reasons is just because of the stat that it boosts. It's speed. Now, I'm not going to talk about why speed just sucks in Partners in Time. Then, if you want to hear my opinion on it, just check out my stat ranking of the game. But I'm not going to really talk about it too much here. Why do you need to boost speed? And it's not like you get to repeat your turn unlike in Paper Jam. In this game, you only go once, and you're literally wasting a turn applying something that makes you go again. So it's so pointless just to have. You can do a mixed flower, a copy flower. You can even apply stuff like defense peppers, a red pepper, or just cure something. But no, you go for a blue pepper. Why? It's one of the cheapest items in the item shop. And really, it should be the absolute cheapest because this item is garbage. Number 12. Well, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I prefer normal mushrooms to mushroom drops. But not in this scenario. Mushrooms are just normal ones are way worse than normal mushroom drops. Just because normally in games they heal 30, in this one it's only 20, which means most of the time it's not even a full heal. So already they're pretty garbage. But just adding to the point of you already have mushroom drops with heal 15 of every single party member, which is very useful to have. But even when you get super mushrooms, they're just so outclassed already because it's already 40 HP that a super mushroom has, and once you get to ultra mushrooms with 80, yeah, you just need to throw them out of there. Why is it higher than the blue pepper though? Well, first things first, the blue pepper is useful in no scenarios. Literally none. So that's already something that goes on the bottom. At least for mushrooms, it's really the only thing that you can use unless you have mushroom drops, but just having mushrooms is nice to have. At least that's the early game. And also, the reason I actually like mushrooms more than mushroom drops in general is that I use mushrooms to heal all the bros before a boss battle. I don't know why I don't use mushroom drops, but it's just something I do. I just got that habit from Dream Team and I never stopped. So, this is the only scenario where mushroom drops are higher than mushrooms though. Number 11. We talked about the mushroom, and I talked about the mushroom drop a little bit before, so let's continue talking about it. Now, the normal mushroom drop heals 15 for every single party member, and in total, that means that it heals 60 HP. And that's the only reason it's higher than the mushroom, because having only 20 HP for one bro or baby is abysmal compared to a normal mushroom drop. So, yeah, it's pretty easy to decide between them, but the thing about mushroom drops is that they're really only good enough to heal the babies and not the bros fully. So that already just makes it way worse than they should be. But since the mushroom drop heals way more than the normal mushroom, it's the only reason that it's above. Number 10. Starting off with the top 10, we have green peppers. Well, I don't really use these ever, but I could definitely see the use for these, unlike blue peppers or just the base mushroom and mushroom drops. And that's just because if you boost your defense, then it's less detrimental to get hit by enemies. Which, fine. If you're really bad with a boss that you're really bad at dodging with, fine, apply a green pepper. That's not a bad idea. But at the end of the day, just apply a red pepper so it can kill it faster. That's the thing about it. I'm way more of a glass cannon type player where I just boost all of power and just try to kill the enemy as fast as possible. If you combine that with stuff like copy flowers, or even just stuff like trampolines or pocket chomps, then you're good to go. Like, you just do as much damage as possible and you're perfect. So, I don't really find defense peppers that useful to me, but I could definitely see them being useful. Number 9. I mean, the super drop has a ton of it going for it. Just because it heals 30 HP for every single party member, which is 120 in total, that surpasses the super mushroom by 3 times, kind of like the mushroom drop surpassing the mushroom. But wow, you get it at Gritzy Desert, and at that point you don't need it, especially because just super mushrooms are going to be better than them. But the main reason why it's above is not just because you get it at Gritzy Desert, it's because when you are at Yoshi's Island in Yoop's Belly, you were always using super mushrooms instead of mushroom drops. And that's a huge problem for the super drop, just because you get it way too late into the game. And that's not very useful for an item like that. I just want to have a quick disclaimer right now, just because I was wrong about the super drop. You don't have the ability to buy them in Gritzy Desert, but you have the ability to buy them once you have access to Thwomp Volcano, which means that it's even worse than I thought it was. So now I'm even more secure of having the super mushroom higher than the super drop. Number 8. One reason, and one reason alone, is why the super mushroom is higher than the super drop. Let's talk about that reason. The reason is that you get the super mushroom at Yoshi's Island and the super drop at Gritzy Desert. And I really think that you should have gotten them together. And the main reason for that is just because the super drop is useless once you get the Gritzy Desert, but when you're in Yoop's Belly and Yoshi's Island, it's totally amazing because super mushrooms heal 40, and your best bro might be 45 HP. So you're most of the time gonna have a full heal. So it's an amazing item to actually have, unlike the super drop where it's just kind of there. So that's the only reason it's higher. Other than that, I do genuinely think just comparing them side to side, it's worse. But since you get it earlier, it's better in comparison. Number 7. Well, this is the weirdest one to rank, and surprisingly enough, it just hit right in the middle, and that's honestly how I would describe it. The Refreshing Herb is very useful in the right situations, and those right situations are if you're burned or if you're poisoned. And if you're not either of those, or you have any other status ailments, then you just would rather let it just blow over, especially just because the burns and the poison actually does damage. The other ones just don't. They just don't let you attack. So yes, you could use it. I don't really bother. So I could definitely see why people would put it higher, but for me personally, nah, I don't really see a reason to. Number 6. The Ultra Drop is number 6, and it's the final version of a Mushroom Drop. The Ultra Drop heals 60 HP for everybody in the party. Sound familiar? Here's the thing about it. If you compare it to the Ultra Shroom, then it's not too bad, because healing 60 is pretty good. The only problem with it is that you're getting it, or having access to buying it, in Toad Town, when you have access to max mushrooms. Why would you ever want to use an Ultra Drop over a max mushroom, especially in my case? I can see why, that's why it's number 6, but for someone like me, I will never use an Ultra Drop over something like a max mushroom. It's just not worth it. Number 5. Number 5 is the Ultra Mushroom. This is the top 5. All these are great items. And the thing about it is that the Ultra Mushroom, I have everything to say about it that I've said about the Super Mushroom. It's the exact same scenario where it's really good when you get it because it's almost a full heal when you use it. Obviously, that's amazing. But the thing that makes it better than the Super Mushroom by far is obviously it heals double. But just in the scenario that people will still use it over max mushrooms. They won't use Super Mushrooms over Ultra Mushrooms or Super Mushrooms over Max Mushrooms, but people still use Ultra Mushrooms over Max. So It's definitely a contention to being even higher than this, but I think that the Ultra Mushroom being number 5 is good enough, because for someone like me that feels like I have to be full HP, I want to use something like a Max Mushroom, because it actually heals all your HP. Number 4. This is going to be so hard to explain, but 1-Up Mushrooms are number 4. It's one of the earliest items you can get in the game, but I'm putting it higher than items that you get after entering one of the latest time holes. Listen, the reason why I'm putting 1-Up Mushrooms this high is that you don't have a renewable way to get 1-Up Supers until you get to Toad Town. So, once you get to Toad Town, yeah, 1-Up Mushrooms are useless. You might as well just buy a ton of 1-Up Supers. But before that, you have to rely on 1-Up Mushrooms. And yes, you obviously do get 1-Up Supers from item blocks, but you don't really want to use them. And the thing is that they heal half your HP to a knockdown bro. Half of your HP in the early game is not much at all. So the thing is that you only having half your HP is not a bad thing, but once you use them late game, where you have around like 100 health, and you only get 50, then it's worse, but that's when the 1-Up Super comes in. So it's very useful throughout the entire game, well, most of the game. Number 3. This is the top 3. Every single one of these items are amazing, and there's no replacing them. But number 3 is the 1-Up Super. Now the thing about the 1-Up Super is that if you're bad at the game, it's really good to have, because you have so many 1-Up Supers after you get to Toad Town, and once you use one, the bro or the baby is at full health again, so you don't have to take another turn healing. It's such a good item, but you only need to do it when a bro gets knocked. And the other 2 items that are left, you can use them all the time, and when you really need to. That's the reason why it's number 3. I love using a 1-Up Super. I don't like using a turn to heal, so when I just use a 1-Up Super, it's perfect, especially because the only time I really get knocked is when I'm fighting myself. Inception question mark? But again, there's no replacing this item. Whenever a bro gets knocked, always use a 1-Up Super. Don't even bother with using a 1-Up Mushroom after you get a replenishable way to get 1-Up Supers. Number 2. Number 2 is the Max Mushroom. This item is amazing. A full heal, and you can use it whenever you want. You don't have to just use it when a bro is knocked. A full heal on any of your party members. That is one of the best things that you can do in the game. But honestly, there really isn't a reason it's not number 1. It's just that the number 1 you get earlier in the game, and, well, it has a better purpose than a Max Mushroom. And another reason that I might as well just point out is, I said this in the Ultra Mushroom segment, some people will still pick Ultra Mushrooms over Max Mushrooms, which personally, I don't know why, which is why I put it at Max Mushrooms at number 2, but some people will just pick it over, so that's why I also put it at number 2. But number 1 is just amazing. Number 1. If you play Partners in Time, you know what's gonna be number 1. Red Peppers. Red Peppers boost your power, and it makes it way easier to take out boss fights. Check out my stat ranking. I said this before for the speed, but check it out. I put power at number 1, and it's for a very good reason. The more power you have, the easier it is to fight an enemy. So, of course it's gonna be number 1. Doing more damage is the main thing that you should try to do in a battle. Not trying to tank stuff, trying to do as much damage as possible in a turn. And having a red pepper applied is very beneficial. And you may say, oh, but it wastes a turn to use a red pepper. True, but after a while, it does more damage. So for a normal enemy, don't apply one, but for a boss, you better be applying. I better see you use a red pepper. Like, if I don't, I'm gonna kill you. Okay, I won't kill you, but I'm gonna force feed you mushroom drops. Thank you guys for watching this video. The next video will be about, I don't know, honestly. Request an idea in the comments below.